And at least 3 inmates have been killed and dozens injured during clashes with police at a prison in Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. Around 2,000 prisoners have joined protests being held across the country, calling for the removal of President Ali Abdullah Saleh. Army leadership played a decisive role in ensuring a smooth transition of power in Egypt and Tunisia. However, in Libya, despite some desertions, the army is firmly under Gaddafi's control. But will the loyalty continue amid reports that Gaddafi might be trying to strike a deal with the rebels? Mohammed Shakir finds out.
The military in both Egypt and Tunisia are institutionalized with long traditions. Despite being led by former military officers, both countries kept their armies at a distance from politics and away from the internal security. Both regimes relied on a separate internal security apparatus, born, bred and trained to quell opposition, while the armies stood by, keeping their hands clean. Armies in both countries have direct and strong links with the outside world through military aid, training and joint exercises. This is not the case with the Libyan army.
I haven't ordered the bullets yet. When I order the use of force, then we will be up to it, and it will burn everything.
In his speech on February 22nd, Gaddafi seemed confident of the loyalty of his forces. But was he referring to the army or to the internal security forces? In Libya, there are no distinct lines separating the responsibilities of the elite army units from the security brigades. They both have, as their main objective, the protection of the regime. Army elite brigades are closely connected with Gaddafi's sons. Some even carry their names. Those who serve in these units receive better pay and more benefits. They are also chosen directly from the Gaddafi tribe in northern Libya, and those directly linked to the ruler's clan, as well as those known for publicly showing loyalty to Muammar Gaddafi. For decades, their privileged status has made them the envy of the rest of the army, who have deliberately been kept weak and demoralized. In the early days of the Libyan uprising, signs of the army's fragmentation were obvious, with military pilots fleeing to Malta with their Mirage fighter jets. But the strongest elements of Libya's army have a vested interest in defending the regime, and the majority do not follow the Egyptian or Tunisian models of military neutrality. So sure of their support, when Gaddafi's son, Saif al-Islam, addressed the nation 2 weeks ago, he warned of a brutal civil war, should those who are demanding the fall of his family not back down.
It will be a civil war. We will go back to the 1936 civil war. We will be killing each other in the streets. Libya is not Tunis or Egypt.
Now, with the latest reports about a possible deal for a safe exit for the Gaddafis, those loyal military commanders may feel betrayed. And unless the deal includes some kind of amnesty for them, it may be that they too start questioning their loyalty to the Gaddafi regime. Mohammed Shakir, AlJazeera.
Now, an Egyptian criminal court has upheld a travel ban imposed on the ousted President Hosni Mubarak. The decision prevents the former leader and his family from leaving the country. Their financial assets and property in Egypt have also been frozen. Well, it's been a bitter day of protests in Cairo. At least 1,000 Christians have been protesting against the burning of a church last week. And in Tahrir Square, around 1,000 or so demonstrators gathered to mark International Women's Day, but had to be escorted out of the square by the military for their own safety. Well, Ayman Mohideen is in Cairo for us. So, Ayman, kind of unusually unpleasant atmosphere, it seems, today in Cairo.
Indeed, in these two incidents that you're referring to now, Egypt has become no stranger to protest by all sections, really, of society. But really, what we saw in the past few hours has marked those protests with a little bit of bitterness, if you will, particularly in Tahrir Square, which really has become a symbol of so many different groupings trying to achieve their struggle. Today was no different. You had a Women's Day, or at least women organized part of International Women's Day. They arrived at at Tahrir Square in the afternoon. But as they were trying to hold up their posters and as they were participating in that march, they were essentially drowned out by several hundred other supporters there who were denouncing this being the appropriate time for women to demand their rights, saying that Egypt was going through a bit of a tumultuous period and this was not the place for women to be demanding their rights, nor the time rather. And so it was certainly a very upsetting scene. We spoke to some people there who told us they were harassed. We've seen pictures of the military having to intervene to at least safeguard some of the women out of there. It really highlights and underscores the discrimination really and the problems that a lot of Egyptian women endure on a daily basis, that despite so many of the gains of the revolution, the women in this country still feel very much marginalized. There was a lot of criticism as well that women were not part of the constitutional committee to draw up these amendments. And again, we saw similar scenes with some of the Christian Coptic protesters that were taking place in various parts of the city. On the outskirts of Cairo, the Christian protesters there burned tires, blocked the intersection, smashed cars, and the military opened fire in the air to try to disperse those crowds. So an unusually bitter day of protests across Cairo.
OK, Eamon, thank you very much indeed. Eamon Mohideen live in Cairo. Police in Pakistan have arrested a man over a bomb blast that's killed at least 25 people. The explosion in the eastern city of Faisalabad happened at a gas station in a neighbourhood full of government buildings. More than 150 people have been injured. Officials say the man may also have been involved in a 2009 attack on a Sri Lankan cricket team. Kamal Haider has more from Islamabad.
A deadly attack at a gas station, this time, of course, with new tactics. The explosive-laden vehicle was parked inside that gas filling station. At the time of the blast, the man is said to have left his vehicle and then detonated his device by remote control. According to the security forces, at least 25 people were killed and over 100 wounded. A number of buildings close to that filling station were also destroyed. Rescue efforts were underway to try and dig out both the dead and possibly people who may have been trapped under the debris. The security forces also saying that they have claimed a major breakthrough by arresting a man whom they believe was responsible for the attack. He's also been implicated in the attack on the Sri Lankan team in the city of Lahore earlier.
Kamal Haider there. Now, a Cash for Work programme paid for by the US has been set up in Afghanistan. One project that pays people to clear canals and repair property attracted almost 2,000 men in 1 week. But there are concerns over who exactly is benefiting. AlJazeera's Sue Turton has this exclusive report from Zaray district.
Buying their way into the Taliban heartland, a US programme in the district of Zaray in Kandahar that pays local people to work. Clearing canals or fixing up bombed buildings can earn them $40 a week. It's proved hugely popular. Over 1,500 workers turned up last week from all walks of life.
We're not naive enough to think that there are no Taliban working for us. In an area where the Taliban was born and really came to power, frankly, of 1,400 people, there are going to be some that are Taliban. And that's okay, because as long as they're here to help us rebuild and they're not causing problems, planting IEDs, shooting at us, then we're okay with that.
But even with some Taliban working amongst them, joining this American project is a risky business. This airstrike had to be called in after the Taliban attacked one Cash for Work site, injuring an ISAF soldier who was guarding the workers. They've warned others to stay away.
We are scared. There's no